Welcome to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the #1 podcast and resource for Black entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful, sustainable businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. If you're currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, you're invited to join us each and every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family and get ready to elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 568. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today's show topic is, please understand you are really in the lead generation business. Please understand you are really in the lead generation business. Now, having been a serial entrepreneur and business coach for over 25 years, guys, there's one constant that I see when I work with my business owners who are struggling. And they don't really understand that they're actually in the lead generation business. So I'm going to dissect and discuss this today, and I'm going to give you 4 tips to help you change that mindset. Now, before we get to today's show content, I just want to share a few things with the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners or watchers to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and resource links, such as the link to my new revised and revamped website, blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. Make sure you go there, guys. We have all types of free resources and content to help you elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Go to the website, hit the Learn tab. There's a drop down, and we have all types of subject matter, such as growing and scaling your business, mindset, e-commerce, everything, side hustles, everything you need to move you from point A to point B. And the majority of the content on there is free. So make sure that you guys go there and use the resources. All right. So let's jump into today's show content. And today's show is going to be a little shorter than the average show. But I want to deal with high impact things. And I'm telling you guys, for the life of me, I mentioned in the opening that I've been a serial entrepreneur for 25 plus years, a business coach for over 20 years. And I'm telling you, the #1 thing that I see that's a problem with businesses that are struggling is that you don't understand that you're really in the lead generation business. It boils down to this, guys. Who has the most efficient lead generation system that's going to bring them in consistent and qualified leads at a cost that's going to allow them to be in business and be profitable? So what you have to understand is the better you are at creating this system, the more profitable you can be. You know, I do lead generation affiliate marketing on the side, and I work with several companies, and I'm just looking at the types of companies that need lead generation and the dollars that they're willing to pay. There's some lawyers that'll pay up to $1,200 for lead generation. Now, there's some parameters. They have to be qualified leads, but they're paying up to $1,200. I've seen some even more. Solar companies, roofing companies, $50, $60, $80, $100 a lead. Guys that handle leaky roofs. You know, basement that has water in it, basement damage, $200, $150 per lead. And the beauty about this is, guys, when you learn how to generate your own leads, you're self-sufficient. So when I look at some of these larger companies that are actually paying affiliates to generate leads, it makes me wonder. So if you have a big conglomerate, or it doesn't even have to be a big conglomerate, but if you have a large company and you still don't have enough leads and you're going outside of the box to use affiliates to generate leads, to me, that's a problem. Now, if you want to supplement the lead flow, that's one thing. But if that's what you're utilizing as your only way to generate leads, man, you're in bad shape. And I'm telling you guys, there's companies that are dying for leads. If you're listening to this and your business isn't moving like it should be moving, if you're not working at maximum efficiency, this is for you too. We're not going to get into the weeds. I'm going to give you a 100-mile overview. I'm not going to get too technical, but really today's show is to help change your mindset about what business you're truly in. And you're really in the lead generation business. You're not in the coaching business. Coaching is just what you sell. You're not in the mortgage business. Mortgages are just what you sell. You're not in the retail business. Products and services are just what you sell, guys. You are in the lead generation business. Now, here's a real life example with one of my flat iron brands that's actually still going strong, surprisingly, 8 years later. It's not doing the numbers that it was when it started because everything has an arc. It's going to start and hopefully it goes up and then slowly, it comes down. But that's nature. That's just like an artist, somebody who's a musician. They're never going to be on top the whole time. There's an arc to that. And there's an arc to physical products too and digital products. So one of the things was my profitability on my flat irons was great because I had a marketing engine that allowed me to get keywords on Amazon, like Amazon pay-per-click. Since I was selling my flat iron for $129 and my cost landed with my private label, my branding and packaging, high-end packaging and branding, it was like $10.42, just say $11. So I'm selling it for $129 and it cost me $11. So I got $118 to play with. So when I had my lead generation system and I was doing pay-per-click on Amazon, you had my competitors who may be selling the same flat iron with a regular brand on it or something similar. They're selling that flat iron for, $30. So it may cost them $11 and they're selling it for $30. So they have $19 to play with. I have $118 to play with. So who do you think can get the traffic, right? I can. So my lead generation system was built on me having the profitability to be able to generate more sales by having the profitability, that gap between what I'm selling something for and what it costs me, that profit. Now I can do a bid on a keyword like professional flat iron. I could bid $10 because I'm making $118 per sale. Somebody else who's only making $19, they can't bid $10. So guess what happens? When Amazon sees that I'm bidding that, when people search for professional flat iron, mine is going to come up because guess what? Amazon wants to make that $10 or whatever it is. Most times it didn't even cost $10 because that's the max I would go. And on the holidays, sometimes I go up to $15 or $20 for a click. All right. Now, the way Amazon pay-per-click works is that's the max that you'll go, but it's a bid. It's an auction system. So that's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. I'm selling like crazy because I had that lead generation system working. Now, a caveat with Amazon, you don't get the email information from the customers because Amazon tells you when you sell on their platform, hey, these are our customers, but we're going to allow you to market to them, but you're not going to get the email address. So what I did was I had a warranty, a lifetime warranty on the product. But in order to get that warranty, when it came in the mail, through Amazon, they had to fill out a form, name, address, email, phone number. So now I'm building my database, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But I had to understand I'm not selling flat irons. I am in the lead generation business. There are other people that literally was selling the same flat iron with a different brand. But the way that I marketed my product, which was a high-end product, the way the product was packaged as a high-end product, the way the website looks as a high-end product, I was able to position that product as, once again, a high-end product, which I can make more money from. So understand there are thousands or hundreds of thousands of people doing the exact same thing you're doing. I don't care if you're an agent for Northwest Mutual, You sell insurance, you're a CPA, you have a retail store selling hoodies and t-shirts. I don't care what it is, a physical product, digital product, or services. You could be a coach selling online courses, whatever it is. That's not your business. Your business, you're in the business, guys, of lead generation. So the best lead generation is going to be the most profitable business. Okay, as long as your leads, if you're smart with lead generation, obviously you don't want to spend more than you're making, because that's hustling backwards and you're going to go out of business. But if you act and treat entrepreneurship like I talk about as a science, you'll understand. So when you start running ads and generating leads, you want to put on that white lab coat with the goggles, because you're testing, finding out what works, what doesn't work. The things that don't work, stop doing them. The things that are working, double down on that. But you test gradually. You don't go in and say, I'm going to spend $1,000 a day, for the whole month to see if this product or service can sell. You don't do that. That's silly. You ramp up. So in the example I gave you about the flat irons, at one point I was spending $1,500, $2,500 a day in advertising spend during the holidays. And I was making money, so I'll trade $1,500 to $2,500 a day to make $7,000 to $10,000 a day, right? Just makes sense. The maths, as they say. But I didn't start out like that. I started out with $50 a day just to get a test, get a feel. And then as I started selling, remember, I'm starting out at $50 a day. I sell one unit and I'm, making over $100. So then I'm like, okay, now let me up my ad spend daily to $100, because all I need to do to break even is sell one unit. So now when I put it up to $100, I'm selling 4, 5, or 6 units. I'm making $600, and so on and so forth. So when you start out in terms of scaling or growing your business or lead generation, if you're doing paid ads, which you probably will have to if you don't have a serious database, then you're going to start out slow and start to scale. But we're going to talk about this. I'm freestyling it today, guys. I have a couple of notes here, but I just want you guys to understand what business you're in so you can make that mindset shift. I don't care what you're selling. You have a competitor, unless you just have something that's, patented, trademarked, or out the box or whatever that nobody else can sell. So when I think when Viagra came out, they couldn't have any competitors, I think, for 5 or 7 years or something like that. So they cornered the market. But unless you have a product or service like that, you're in competition. And the people or the businesses that know how to generate leads will win. And they're always going to win if they can generate profitable leads. Now, think about this. I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day. He's like, man, why are you generating leads for other companies? I said, well, if I know how to do it, the system is set up. They pay me every week. Why wouldn't I do that? For example, I have my mortgage business back, but I'm not licensed in 50 states. So sometimes when I run leads, I'll get leads from states that are outside of my licensing jurisdiction. And what do I do with them? I sell them. Hey, somebody just responded to this form or just called in. They live in such and such a state. They live in Minnesota. I'm not licensed there. Here's the information. That's $100 just for the lead. Do you understand? One of the things that I want you guys to, and I'm digressing for a second. One of the things I want you guys to understand is that how important lead generation is to every business. And if you learn how to generate leads for yourself, you can have a side business generating leads for other people. The example I just gave you, I'm generating mortgage leads, right? If I'm not licensed, guess what? That lead cost or the cost to generate that lead, it's not wasted, because now I can sell the leads to other people that I can't work with because they're not in my jurisdiction. So think about the beauty of lead generation and how it's going to change your business and how it can literally change your life. So I talked about generating leads, and a lot of people don't realize how big the industry is. There are a lot of major players out there like solar companies. There's a lot of consolidation in solar. So when solar came out, there were a lot of small mom and pop companies, but they got absorbed by some bigger companies. And these bigger companies have sales reps, right? These sales reps need a continuous system to generate leads for them so they can sell. Because the thing that you hate as a salesperson is cold calling. You want to have a system in place. I don't care if you're a salesperson or an entrepreneur. You want to have a system in place that qualifies people before you talk to them or before they go through the buying process. And so in this solar space, there's companies with thousands of solar sales reps, and they're willing to spend anywhere from, depending upon the quality of the lead, $50, $25, $75, $100, whatever it is for a lead. So when you're selling a lead, guess what? You don't have to close it. All you're doing is generating leads. So you as a marketer, when you sell something for yourself, you have to convert that lead. You have to generate the lead and sell it. If you're selling leads, the only thing or step you need to do is generate the qualified leads, and it's up to the company that's buying the leads from you to sell the leads. So that's why it's such a great business. It's less friction. How many times have you looked to buy leads? I had a buddy of mine who was also in the mortgage business, no concept of generating leads. He's talking about, oh man, I just spent, $3,000 this week. I bought like 30 leads, and 99% of them were doo-doo that had been garbage, been resold 2 and 3 times. And I'm like, look, man, you need to start understanding that if you control the vertical, you have control over your business. So I said, man, the same thing that you're buying is what I'm doing. So I tried to show him, this is how I do it. But I said, literally, all you're doing is buying somebody else's leads that they're running Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Google ads, whatever it is. They're capturing the lead on a lead form and they're selling it. And you just spent $3,000 for 30 leads or something like that. And 99% of them are bad, and you hadn't closed the loan yet. And I'm like, yo, man, learn how to be able to be self-sufficient. When I did an episode on this, when somebody doesn't feed you, they can't starve you. I'm going to repeat that. If somebody doesn't feed you, that means they can't starve you, meaning you're feeding yourself. And once you learn how to feed yourself, now you're in a position of power. Your boss can't tell you what to do, when you can have off. No, you got to work overtime. You can't do that. All right. Because if you're not feeding me, you can't starve me. So that's why it's super important, guys, to learn how to do lead generation. And that's why I said over the last couple of years, I want all of these shows to be super impactful, but I'm getting super frustrated, to be honest, because everybody I talk to, they're worrying about things that aren't foundational. The number one foundational thing that every successful business needs is a successful lead generation system. Granted, you got to have a decent product or service. That's a given. But if you don't have that lead generation system in place, guess what? You're not going to be able to grow and scale, and you may not be able to stay in business. I told this story on multiple occasions. A good buddy of mine worked for me when I had my first mortgage company. He was transitioning. And I'm telling him, like, dude, you got to keep filling this pipeline up. We're giving you leads, but you got to continue to build your own pipeline. And he's holding on, walking around the office with these 3 files under his arms, which we knew weren't going to close based on our experience. And he's carrying them around like they were babies. And I'm like, dude, you just can't sit there and focus on these 3 loans. I said the chance that one of them is going to close is slim to none. And guess what? None of them did close based on various factors. But here's the beauty of it, though. If you have 15 other loans in the pipeline, guess what? You're not even going to be worrying about these 3 loans because you got to focus on the other loans. That's why a lead generation system gives you qualified, consistent leads. Today's show topic, family, understand you are really in the lead generation business. I don't care what you sell. If you want to be successful in business or in sales, you have to have an understanding that you're in the lead generation business. I'm going to give you guys 4 tips today. It's mindset tips. Once again, this is high level. I'm not going in deep and giving you tactics and strategies and things of that nature, but it's more high level. This has been on my heart, man, for the longest, and I'm getting super frustrated. It's because it's almost like people aren't listening. What don't you understand about business? You must have consistent, qualified leads coming in every day. And before I give you these 4 tips, I'm going to tell you this another time, right? Again, the number one thing that I look at each morning is not my bank accounts. It's the number of new leads that I've put in my database, because there's a direct correlation to the number of leads in your funnel, your database, whatever you want to call it, and your income. The more people you have in your database that you market to, the more money you're going to make. A lot of people aren't going to buy right away. I did an episode the other day, and it talks about education deficit. And so $7cheatcode.com. Go there. $7, the number 7, DOLLAR, cheatcode.com. It talks about the education deficit, the reason that people aren't buying. And so a lot of times it's not that, your product or service isn't any good or people don't trust you. The fact is that there's an education deficit. They haven't gotten enough education to understand that this is the product or service that's going to solve their problem. All right. And that's why, guys, in terms of lead generation, you have to have a system that's going to do that for you on a consistent basis. So, yes, when you have a 50,000 person database versus a 500 person database, you're going to make more money with a 50,000 person database, as long as they're qualified the same, right? So if you have a 1% return on we'll just say a 5% conversion rate on the 50,000 database, guess what? You're going to have 2,500 people respond. You got a 5% conversion on 500, then you got 25 people responding, right? So, or converting. That's the difference. That's the difference. So I see people throwing stuff up against the wall. The reason you can't grow and scale, because that system is not in place. So I'm going to give you 4 tips, high level tips, nothing super crazy, but just to help you change your mindset and understand what business you truly are in. Tip number 1, understand you're in the lead generation business. Point blank, period. Point blank, period. I don't care what you sell. I don't care if it's a physical product, a digital product, or a service. I don't care if you're selling T-shirts and sweatshirts. I don't care if you're a CPA, financial advisor. I don't care if you're in the mortgage business. I don't care if you're a coach and selling online courses. Everybody has competition out there. The people that understand how to differentiate themselves and understand that you're in the lead generation business are the people and the businesses that are going to win. Tip number 1, understand you are in the lead generation business. Point blank, period. Tip number 2, understand that building a database is the first step to lead generation. Understand that building a database is the first step to lead generation. You have a chance to be successful as long as you implement that database. This is another head scratcher, right? So how many emails and outreach texts and stuff do you get from businesses that you signed up for say a discount, or you went into DSW or something? Man, I went into DSW a couple months ago, picked something up for my daughter. And my God, they beat me up on the cell phone, my texting, my emails, and everything. But they understand that it's a numbers game, right? So you got to build your database. it's just so funny because I'm looking for a new office space, and this one company that had gone in and checked out two of their locations, they just sent me literally about 10 minutes before I started this podcast, because I'm on their database. They just sent me a 50% off of rent for the first 6 months, a promo. Guess what I just did? I responded back, yo, let's talk. So once again, you have to understand with that database, people aren't ready to buy. Not everybody's ready to buy right now. As long as you have people that are ready, willing, and able to purchase, you're good to go. But that's why you build a database. That's tip number 2. Understand that building a database is the first step to lead generation. Tip number 3, understand that having an automated system that produces consistent qualified leads on a daily basis is the key to growing and scaling. I'll repeat that. Understand that having an automated system, a lead generation system that produces consistent qualified leads on a daily basis is the key to growing and scaling. Consistent and qualified. Okay. There's a lot of people out there that have lead generation systems and the system doesn't qualify the buyer, right? Or the prospective customer. So based on the way you set up your lead generation system, guys, you can make people qualify or disqualify themselves. So if you are in the debt management space and you help people resolve debt, and you only work with people that have credit card debt of over $10,000, and now you're running ads or you're doing, your marketing through your lead generation system, and 75% of the people that you get are people that have less than $10,000 in credit card debt. So they're leads, but they're not qualified leads. Okay. So understand that having an automated system that produces consistent qualified leads on a daily basis is the key to growing and scaling. And that's what it is, guys. It has to be consistent. You want to know that every day you're going to get X amount of leads in. So my buddy who was working for me at the mortgage company, we gave them X amount of leads, telemarketing leads, email leads, and all of that stuff. People filling out forms, but you always can do more. Now, his thing was the conversion aspect. He wasn't that good on the phone and he wasn't good converting. So we used to try to help him. He made decent money, but the problem with him was he wasn't building his pipeline on his own. So there wasn't a consistent lead flow. We had 20 something loan officers. So we had to divvy up the leads, based on 20 people. But I don't care if you're an entrepreneur or you're in the sales space, you need to have your own systems working. I don't care if you work in corporate America right now and they got you knocking on doors trying to sell internet access. You better have some type of automated system that's going to actually give you qualified, consistent leads every day. Don't rely, and I'm not telling you to get fired, but don't just rely on, if you're working for somebody else, your job, you need to have these systems in place. Okay. So if you work for Comcast or whatever, and you sell internet, you need to, the businesses, you need to create some type of system that's going to generate leads. You look at the want ads, Indeed, and all these other places, and it's crazy because I get a lot of my clients from Indeed. When I see businesses, they're looking for business development, which is basically lead generation. They want somebody out there to do the grunt work. And I'll reach out to them with a cold email. Hey, if you're looking for these type of leads, I can possibly supplement that by, implementing the system that I use to generate these solar leads or these whatever leads that, type of product or service they're selling. So automation as opposed to knocking on doors, right? What you want is a qualified lead. So I've told this story before, but I got to remember we got 568 episodes, and I know a lot of people hadn't started from the beginning and gone all the way through. But years ago, I used to be in a previous life a stockbroker. And after I got out of that business, I was doing some consulting for a couple of the major firms out there, the financial advisor firms. So I was going for this job, and I was in a training session with one of the biggest financial advisors and banks out there in the country. This was years ago, but they're still like in the top 2 or 3, probably the top 3 banks, retail banks and financial companies out there right now. And I'm listening to this sales presentation and I'm scratching my head. So as a financial advisor, stockbroker, whatever you want to call it, with your Series 7, 65, and all of that, where you can sell individual stocks and mutual funds, insurance products, and all that good old stuff. They actually were teaching financial advisors, new trainees, to knock on residential doors. You go into a nice neighborhood, you knock on the door. Hey, my name is Jay Jones. I'm from blank blank company. I'd like to speak to you about your IRA rollover, whatever it is. So it doesn't matter, because to me, it was complete nonsense. So they were literally telling people, or these financial advisors, to go knock on doors of people that weren't qualified. You don't know if they wanted to do anything financially or if they even had the resources. Just because you live in a big house doesn't mean that, you got money, right? So I'm like, this is what they're telling them to do? Waste their time on leads that aren't qualified? Think about what it would mean to you if you have a system set up every day and you get qualified leads coming in every day. They qualify or disqualify themselves, and they're setting up appointments with you on your calendar. And all you have to do is come in, go through your spiel, whatever you're selling, and that's it. Versus somebody knocking on a door, unqualified door, wasting time. And the first thing I said to the person that brought me in as a consultant, I said, how is that financial advisor positioning themselves? So if I have a financial advisor, I want their ass in the office, making sure that my portfolio is looking good. If I got some fool out here knocking on my door at 2:00 or 5:00 in the evening, talking about financial advisor, that means you don't have enough business, and that's why you're knocking on doors. You're positioning yourself as a peddler, right? You're not a professional to me. You're a peddler. You're over here begging for business, knocking on doors. So changing the positioning, that's what lead generation does too. Hey, you called me. I didn't call you. I'm not knocking on your door. I put out some information. You raised your hand. You said you were interested. That changes the whole dynamic of the sales process. You called me. I'm not bugging you. Let me see if I can help you. So that's number 3. Understand having an automated system that produces consistent qualified leads on a daily basis, guys, is the key to growing and scaling. Number 1, understand you're in the lead generation business, point blank, period. Number 2, understand that building a database is the first step to building a lead generation system. Number 3, we just went through, understand that having an automated system that produces consistent qualified leads on a daily basis is the key to growing and scaling. And finally, number 4, understand that this is a mindset shift. This is something that's diametrically opposed to the way most people think, because we think we're in the mortgage business. We think we're in the coaching business. We think we're selling retail products. Those are what we sell. The business, the true business we're in, is lead generation. Okay, so you need to think about your business differently, and it's going to help you navigate the process of growing and scaling your business, right? It's like selling widgets. You're in competition with thousands of people, probably just in your state or local area, depending upon what you sell. Now, you might be in a vertical that's, there's not a lot of competition. That's a blessing. But you still need to have a system in place to generate leads on a consistent basis, qualified leads, not just leads. So a lot of times, if you're relegated on purchasing leads, you're going to get leads that are garbage, that are not qualified, or have been sold to 4 or 5 people. How many of you guys have ever been on lendingtree.com and you wanted a quote for a mortgage, and you had as soon as you finish, you had 5 companies calling you, right? Yeah, they're selling that lead 5 different times. Buddy of mine was just doing paving work in his backyard. He was getting some pavers in. He went to this site, I forgot what it was called, to get a quote, and he said he doesn't understand the concept, but he was like, damn, man, I had like 18 people calling me and texting me, about this job. I'm like, yeah, man. I said, these are people that are buying leads. So if you have a skill set that is in demand, you will always eat. You will always eat. You can use that superpower for your own business, or you can use it to help other businesses by selling leads, or do both like I do. Before I get to this last segment, guys, let me just give you my social media contact information and resource links. I stated at the beginning of the show, guys, go to the website, blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, hit the Learn tab with the drop down. Take advantage of all the free resources that we have. All right. So please, it's free. Take advantage of that. Now, if you want to connect with me, guys, anything long, and I get bombarded on social media and DMs. So the best place to connect with me is my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, JAYJONES at blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, Instagram, I have 2 IG accounts. The first one is J Jones for Real, JAYJONES, the number 4 REAL. Second one is Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Twitter, JJones001 or X, whatever you want to call it. JAYJONES001. LinkedIn, connect with me there. Type in J Jones Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. You'll be able to find me and connect there. Also, YouTube. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, hit that subscribe button. We have additional content on YouTube that is not on the show. And yes, the show does come out on YouTube. And for you first-time listeners, we drop a new episode every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on all your major podcast platforms and YouTube. So wherever you're listening to this or watching this, hit that subscribe button right now so you'll be alerted when the next episode drops. All right, let's get back to the last segment of the show, which is going to be super quick. Today we talked about, please understand you are really in the lead generation business. And guys, all it is a mindset shift. And many times when your mindset shifts, your business shifts, your life shifts, things change. And that's what you have to understand. Look at all the competitors that are in your business. How do you stand out? What makes you different? How are you going to compete with them? How are you going to overtake them to get your slice? And it's all about lead generation. Consistent, qualified leads coming in every single day. So you're not walking around the office or at home, wherever you work out, or in your car, holding on to 3 files that aren't going to convert, right? And then you're worrying about paying your bills. I'm telling you, it's a foundational principle that not most, but a lot of businesses don't even focus on. And it bewilders me. I am dumbfounded that people don't focus on this. This is the most basic, simple concept that there is to business. I need to sell something. I need somebody to sell it to. Wow, that's an ideal concept. No, that's what everybody does. I'm being facetious right now, but what I'm trying to get through to you guys is, if you don't have a lead generation system, an automated one, I'm not talking about the nonsense where you're knocking on doors of unqualified people. You want to make people raise their hand and say, yes, I'm interested in whatever you're selling. Think about problem, solution, result, that equation I always talk about. What's the problem? My product or service is the solution. Now, what's the result of that, person or company using my product or service? Problem, solution, result. Problem, solution, benefit, whatever you want to use. But that's what we have to focus on. Change your mindset, guys. Change your mindset that you are in the lead generation business. And once you can get that down, I'm telling you, you will always be able to eat. People used to say, oh, yeah, man, I'm a salesperson. I'll always be able to sell something. I'll always be able to make money. That's not necessarily true. Do you know how many salespeople are unsuccessful? You're in the lead generation business. You learn how to master lead generation. Now you've always got a job. Now you've always got income. Now you're always going to be able to eat. So I need that mindset change. I don't care what you're selling or what business you think you're in. You better recognize and understand you're in the lead generation business. All right. Now, I say this each and every week, guys. We get more and more downloads because of you, the BEB family. I appreciate you guys so much. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast, the website, the blog, the online courses, the books, the whole ecosystem dedicated to help moving you from point A to point B. Remember, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about building an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.